Well, guys, welcome to Crack It Cold. For today's episode, our guest has recently graduated from UIndy with her doctorate of occupational therapy. Madison Woo, she's from Illinois. She did her undergrad at Alabama. She traveled abroad during undergrad in Florence, Italy. She then went on to UIndy, where she was allowed to do some traveling.
I didn't know Willie in 6th grade.
When did y'all meet?
Actually, I did know him in 6th grade. I don't know what I'm talking about. I met Willie in
6th grade, that's when we met. Yeah. I saw a little kid running around with a backwards MLB red hat on. I said, that kid's cool. He's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah.
I saw his big goofy. I wasn't sure if he could play basketball or not, but he was big.
And you were already a basketball player?
Yes. At that stage, I was. Yeah, 6th grade. And that was Willie's, wasn't that your first year of, real basketball?
That was my first year of full basketball, yeah. Yeah, for real. I'd only played baseball and soccer before that. So when I came to Frankton, started hooping.
And then that was
showed us the way.
Started playing together, started hooping together. He invited me over for his birthday party one year. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Because he had, he had a really, big yard. And he had a bunch of older brothers. I didn't really have I have an older sister, but I didn't have an older sibling. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. You have older siblings and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we had what did we do? We were throwing cherry. Well, we had a war. It
apples,
was
yeah.
apple war. Or
cherry
something.
apples.
We were at one end of your yard and the other people were at the other end. Yeah.
That was a good time.
It was.
Childhood.
Yep.
Well, guys, welcome to Crack It Cold. For today's episode, our guest has recently graduated from UIndy with her doctorate of occupational therapy. Got a lot of respect for Maddie Woo. Madison Woo. She's from Illinois. She did her undergrad at Alabama. Roll Tide, she says. She then went on to UIndy, where she was allowed to do some traveling during her studies. And so we'll talk to her a lot about that. She traveled abroad during undergrad in Florence, Italy.
Yes.
And, Maddie is somebody who, she goes out of her comfort zone. She tries new things. And that's very inspiring to us, and that's what we do. We tell every guest that we have on is somebody who we find inspiring. And we don't just ask them to be on for random reasons. We genuinely, we ask somebody who really, truly inspires us. So, Maddie Woo, welcome. Welcome to the pod.
Welcome, Maddie Woo.
Tsk you guys for having me.
The Wooster.
This is fun. I've never done anything even remotely close to this before, so this is awesome.
So, Maddie, when did you decide that what you wanted to do was become an OT?
Probably back in high school, I kind of was making my way to find OT. I had a friend that had special needs in high school, and she and I were just like magnets. She would always find me in school, and she would want to play with my phone or play some One Direction. So she and I kind of built a friendship there. And then I started volunteering at a camp for young adults with Down syndrome called Camp Pals. So I thought maybe I wanted special education. And I quickly realized I am not meant for the school system. It's not my thing. Kids really aren't really my thing. But from those experiences, I found occupational therapy working with the kids.
Good.
I was like, wow, that's cool. That is something I want to be a part of. So just kind of started from there.
That's awesome.
No, that's really cool. And was it something that you kind of found on your own, or was it more you knew someone that was already in OT, or you knew someone that was already in the healthcare realm and you went and shadowed them, or did you kind of just come upon it and you're like, oh, this is cool?
Well, my mom claims that she told me about OT way before I ever said I thought maybe OT would be for me. So if you asked her, she would say she told me about it first. But she did work in healthcare, and I liked biology. I liked learning about the human body, so I already kind of had that going for me. And then My school had a program where you could shadow. If education was something you were interested in, you could go to a teacher in the district and shadow them. So I shadowed the 1st and 2nd grade special education teacher. And then that's how I found occupational therapy.
Nice. And so you went to Alabama. You're from Illinois. How did that happen? And like, what other schools did you look at? And why was Alabama the one that you ended up choosing?
Well, my family was very supportive of me wanting to go to a big school and an out-of-state school. Those were my only 2 real requirements when I was looking at colleges. And then my mom drove me around the country. We went to Ohio State, Clemson, University of Missouri, University of Kentucky. I toured Indiana University.
Hey.
Yep.
Hoosier, baby.
I thought I wanted to be a Hoosier like my entire life. I had a T-shirt.
It's too bad.
That had a Hoosier emblem on it. And when I got there, I was like, this is just, unfortunately, sorry, this just isn't what I was looking for. So then I toured Bama, though. And it actually was raining the day of my tour. But it was still the most beautiful campus I'd ever seen.
Wow.
Even in the rain. So I was like, imagine with some sunshine how beautiful it would be.
That's really cool that your parents did that for you, though. That they were like,
that's not,
Yeah, that's pretty abnormal. I've never really heard that.
Yeah.
I feel like most parents are like, if you're paying for it, like you obviously like it's cheaper in state or like whatever. But I like that a lot, that your parents were like, because you get a whole new experience. It's like a whole new world. Yeah, I mean, you grew up, like you said, in Illinois, like a small town, going to Alabama, the University of Alabama. Is it Alabama University or University?
University of Alabama.
Like, I know some people get like mad if you say it wrong. Yeah.
I don't even know if there's an Alabama University. There might be, but
yeah, it's University of
UA.
Alabama. Yeah. And like going off of that, what was your overall experience at Alabama like? Like, did you really enjoy being there? Like, were you happy that you made that decision? And like, do you think it helped you like throughout your career?
Oh yeah. So I didn't even consider Alabama until they were kind of revamping their programs. And when I was applying as a freshman, or to be a freshman, they were offering a scholarship, full tuition for people that got a certain score on their ACT. And it was automatic. As soon as I got my acceptance letter to go to Bama, they sent me my scholarship letter, all like in the same packet.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. It's nice that they just like
very
all in one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't even have to apply for it. So,
nice.
But no, Bama was great. I did not pick it because of its football program. I didn't even know who Nick Saban was when I was going to school. I remember calling and interviewing different roommates. I was very anal about who I was going to room with as a freshman. I had lists of questions. I had interviews set up, and I was talking to the one who's now like one of my best friends in the whole world. She and I roomed together, and she said that she's Catholic and she goes to the same church as Nick Saban. I was like, oh, cool. Is he one of the players? Or and she was just from Alabama. She was like, okay, here's your 101 lesson. If you're going to be going to school here, you need to know who the football coach is. So football is a huge part of their culture. That was maybe a little bit of a shock, but honestly, I jumped right in. It was so much fun.
That's good.
The tailgates, and these tailgates are not just like a couple tents. I mean, people hire companies to come in and put up these big white tents that have turf, chandeliers, big screen TVs, buffets of food. Like it's elaborate, and it's
like their world.
Oh yeah, 100%. So it's cool. I loved it. Obviously, when I was a freshman, we won the national championship. I'm pretty sure. Either that or my sophomore year. So. But we started pretty top tier. So I was like, I don't know if I wanted that to happen my freshman year, because it's hard to beat that, you know?
Yeah. So like as you're going out through your career, it's like they expected a national championship every year.
Oh,
so it's like if you didn't get a national championship, it's like kind of a letdown type thing.
A little bit, honestly. I remember when I was maybe a senior, or maybe this was the year after I graduated. Bama didn't have a super good season that year, and we didn't even make it to whatever the round is, or like what happens after you lose. I'm sorry, I'm not super versed in football stuff.
College football playoff?
Yeah,
Probably,
the playoffs.
yeah,
So we lost,
yeah.
and I honestly had no idea what came next. I was like, so are we just done? They're like, no, we have a bowl game.
Yeah, you're playing the bowl game.
I was like,
yeah.
oh, like, I had no idea. We've never
Nice.
done less than a championship, so I had no idea what came after that. So, which, that's a privilege. That's awesome. You know, we got to experience top tier football the whole time I was there. So
That's awesome. So, what was the greatest experience that you had at Alabama?
I met some really awesome people. I think one of the nights that sticks out, I will always remember. I was a freshman and we were living in the dorms, and me, one of my roommates, and a couple of our guy friends, we stayed up like all night long. We weren't even drinking or anything. We were just having a sober, fun night, just staying up. And at like 4 or 5 in the morning, we were like, okay, we're awake. Let's go watch a sunset. Let's go find a sunrise. Let's go find somewhere. And so we started walking around on campus. We were just looking for like a parking garage or anything. We got to the gates of the stadium, the football stadium, and we were like, let's jump the fence. Like, let's just see what happens if we jump this fence and we can like run up there. And we're checking for cops, and my guy friends are helping like hoist us over the fence, and we get in. And we run and race we like sprint all the way up to the very top of Bryant-Denny Stadium, and we watch the sunrise from up there.
That's awesome.
It's probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.
That's crazy.
And if that ends up being the coolest thing I ever do, I'm pretty okay with that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And so while you were there, you also got a chance to study abroad.
I did.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I knew I wanted to study abroad. My aunt was a Christian missionary person, and she lived in Verona for a lot of years. And so Italy was kind of on my radar. I was nervous about picking a country I didn't know the language of. So I had chosen to go to Ireland instead. And right before like decisions were being made, I switched. I was like, no, that's not really what I want. I want to go somewhere like different and cool. Something I know like nothing about, even if it's going to be hard. I didn't know that when you get to Europe, so many people know how to speak English that it was like never a problem. I think there was only one time that I really found myself lost and needing someone who spoke English and couldn't find someone.
And you were in Italy, right?
I was in Italy. Yes, okay. I was in Florence.
Okay. Gotcha. And majority of people were able to speak English?
A lot. Some people wouldn't really try with you. It kind of depended.
Okay.
Like you could usually piece together enough. And I took Italian before I left, just like Italian 101. And then I took Italian 102 while I was there. But even still, it was the very basics. And I had a lot of my blue jeans, which apparently I didn't know that people didn't really wear blue jeans over there. So I stuck out like a sore thumb. They took one look at me and they were like, American. And so even if I tried to speak Italian with some of the locals, they would kind of just respond in English, just knowing that like what came next was not gonna
they just knew
process. Yeah. So, but I did meet one Italian local who was working at a gelato shop. Me and my roommate, we went to get gelato one night, and after we were talking with him a little bit, and he said, hey, like, can I get you on Facebook? And we were a little weirded out by it, but he seemed nice, about our age. So we were like, okay, sure. And he was like, I'm really trying to learn English and get better at it. And you guys seem nice. So I thought I would just ask. So we would just get coffee with him occasionally, and he would take us around to his favorite local spots.
Sweet.
His name was Alfredo, which is amazing.
Italy.
Yes, Alfredo. Yeah. And, yeah, he ended up being like one of my favorite people I've met there.
So you would teach or work on him with English, and then he would show you guys like local spots. That's cool. That's a good dynamic. How that worked out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like hole in the wall places or different foods to try.
Yeah.
One time he hosted a dinner party with all of his Italian friends, and my roommate wasn't able to go, but I really wanted to, so I just went. And that was super intimidating because they were all sitting around the table and talking in Italian with each other. Some of them didn't know English, honestly. And so they were all speaking Italian. And I was just kind of like, wow, where am I right now? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome.
That's such a cool thing to do, to be out of your comfort zone, though. I mean, you're in another country, you're surrounded by people, your age, just exploring that culture and just taking it all in. And how long were you there?
I stayed from January. Well, I got there in first week of February and I stayed through end of April, but then I stayed for another 3 weeks just to backpack to places that we that we weren't able to hit during our study.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So you
Jinx. Go ahead. No,
when you say backpacking, do you mean like you hiked to these places, or was it kind of like you just in a car and just were like, you know what I mean?
By backpacking, I just mean all I had on me was my backpack, and we took any kind of public transportation, planes, trains to get to different countries. Yeah. But when we stayed places, we would stay in hostels or we would stay at Airbnbs. We wouldn't camp.
No,
or anything.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
It was like, not camping, backpacking. But
right,
just like
yeah, you were just
trekking.
Just all you had on you was a backpack.
Yeah.
And you're just going wherever, all the places you wanted to go. Okay.
That's really cool.
And you were doing OT stuff while you were in Italy, right?
Not really.
Okay.
I had prereqs to take, but for OT school, you don't have a specific major to be in or declare. A lot of people will choose psychology, sociology, stuff, exercise science, because it follows a lot of the prereqs that you need in order to apply. But you can be a dance major, you can be film, you can be business, whatever.
And apply for OT
school as long as you have your prereqs.
Yeah.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So you studied abroad. You did your undergrad at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
All this goes on. You find yourself in Indianapolis, Indiana.
I did.
You do your OT school here. What's your favorite thing about Indianapolis?
I call Indianapolis the hidden gem city because, and this is how I explain it to anyone who has no idea, has never been to Indianapolis. You could drive through it and you can see a bunch of cornfields and you can leave and not notice it at all. But if you stick around for a little bit, you can actually kind of see that there are some really cool things happening in Indianapolis. So one thing that I really loved is coffee. And Indianapolis coffee is some of the best that I've had in our country. And
wow.
So I was actually a barista for a little bit, making a little side money while I was in OT school.
There you go.
And it's a local roastery called Hubbard and Cravens.
Okay.
So that's probably my favorite thing about Indianapolis is the coffee scene.
That's really cool that you say that. I mean, for someone who's been the places that she's been, and we haven't even, apparently I forgot to say this in the introduction, she lives in Colorado now. Mm-hmm. So we've kind of failed to even mention that. But she's been all over. She's got friends across the country. She's got friends in other countries. And, she says that Indianapolis is a hidden gem. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty, that's high praise. Yeah,
very high praise
for the Circle City.
Yeah.
So
and I think that's a good term because I think even visiting other cities, like it's pretty rare that I feel like there's a vibe similar to Indianapolis. It's like a pretty unique, from what I've experienced at least. Like I've been to Nashville. Like obviously Nashville is really fun, but it can be a lot of times. There's a lot of people, a lot of traffic. Like you never get that in Indy, but you can experience I think similar things. I don't know. Like you can experience like a coffee shop and not have to worry about traffic for 2 hours. You can experience going to do something downtown like a sports event. And a lot of cool different things. And I think that's really unique to Indy. And it being in downtown of Indiana, like the capital of Indiana, it's just special to us. And it's cool to hear you say that, I think. It really is. That it's a hidden gem.
Yeah. I grew up in Illinois, and I thought I would never want to stay in the Midwest. I was like, I'm out of here. I don't like the Midwest. I want mountains or anything different. And I hated how much I actually really liked Indianapolis because I was like, it's nice. It's a fun city.
Yeah.
It doesn't have some things that I really wanted in life, and so I chose to leave. But honestly, I couldn't have had a better time in grad school, and I met some really awesome people, obviously. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to Indy.
Cheers to Indy.
Cheers to Indy, man. For sure. And now that you're out in Colorado, do you feel like, did you ever go there as a kid or anything?
No, my first time going to Colorado was a couple summers ago.
Okay.
My friend turned 21, and she was doing a summer internship, so I flew out there to visit her.
Okay. So you were just like, you went out there and you fell in love with it immediately, or was it kind of like, I don't really know, like, I don't know if I could live here, or was it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Because it's so flat here that I was just like in complete awe of the mountains.
Yeah.
And I'd seen like mountains before. Like my family has done a trip to like Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, and I did some trips with college friends on the east side of the country, those mountains. But the Rockies are just breathtaking. And
They're just different, I think.
It's just it just hits different.
It is. It's just completely different compared to like the Smoky Mountains and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're massive.
They're massive.
You're in awe. It's just it's life changing.
It is. It really is.
Not to be dramatic, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I can't imagine waking up and seeing this every day. So
It's majestic. I would describe it as majestic.
sure.
Like, it's just it's almost like it's just so large. It's just this large mass, and you could be driving down the road and you just look up and it's just it's beautiful.
Yeah. And there's so much to do in Colorado, I think. That's really, like in Indiana, that's the one slide I have in Indiana is that there's, compared to Colorado, I guess some other states, like there's just not, and that's not Indiana's fault, obviously. It's just like, there's a lot more to do. I think when Willie and I went to Colorado, like at least what I saw, like you could hike, you can snowboard, you can do a lot of different things that you can't really do here. And no, I think that's really cool that you decided to leave, and that's what you wanted to do at a young age, was to expand and to go somewhere else and to like broaden your spectrum of people and in the country and outside the country. I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah. I didn't really know what I was looking for. I had, the whole country I could live in, but one thing that I really appreciated about Denver was that the culture of people that live there are so active. Like they want to be outside. People love to talk about the different active sports that they do, climbing or hiking, doing snow sports, skiing, snowboarding. Like that is the culture year round. Your people are active. And I spent last summer in Nashville, and I love Nashville. No hate towards Nashville at all, but it's such a drinking city. Yeah. And so it's good for that. Well, if that's what you're looking for, it's great for that. And Indianapolis is a fun drinking city too, but I wanted something that would push me outside of just that scene. I wanted to be, stimulated and something that's actually pretty good for your health.
Yeah. So talk to us about snowboarding. Is something that you've done this entire past year. You've had the pass. You went almost every weekend, it seems.
I tried every weekend. We missed a couple, but we tried to go.
I mean, what was that journey like for you this year? Do you feel like you got better throughout the season? Talk to us a little bit about, like the different levels of what you can do and snowboarding.
Yeah. Snowboarding's great. I skied once with my family when I was in 8th grade, and I liked skiing. I didn't love it. And then a couple years ago, I took a half-day lesson snowboarding with two of my friends. We went out there on a trip, and I just absolutely loved it. I was in a lot of pain after that first trip because on snowboards, you wipe out hard. Like you will be flipped all over, and the snow is not always generous to you. Sometimes it's hard, like you're falling on just like a solid surface if there's no fresh powder, but
fresh pow.
No, none of the fresh pow.
A pow.
Yep. And with skiing, some people say, oh, skiing's easier. It's really not easier, but the falls look different. And so You don't really fall to your butt as much, and getting up's a lot harder on skis, but they're just different. But yeah, I picked up snowboarding. This is my first full season, so I have made a lot of improvements. When I went my first time this season, I could do greens. When it goes greens, blues, blacks, double blacks.
So that's the hierarchy of easy to hard. Say that one more time.
Green is like beginners, family zones. Blue is like, I don't know, maybe intermediate.
Mm-hmm.
Blacks is expert. Double blacks, extra hard.
You're pro, basically, if you're doing double blacks.
Well, yeah, I mean,
pretty much.
Because I've done a double black, and I'm so far from being a pro. So,
okay.
I don't know terminology wise, it says expert, but like,
she's a pro.
You can struggle through it. I can get through
she's
most
a pro,
things.
Folks.
Yeah. But saying a pro when you're in Colorado actually means something to some people. Okay. So I would never describe myself that way out there.
Okay.
I would just kind of, say what I can do. But I did make a lot of improvements. By end of season, I could get down some blacks on a really good day. I could definitely just coast down. On a rough day, higher altitudes, not as much snow. If it's really icy, that still kind of scares me. So that's goal for we have goals for next season.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. I went out. Maddie coached me. She taught me how to snowboard. Did it just for one day.
You were my first student ever.
How was Coach Woo?
Nice. Coach Woo's great. She's patient.
Okay.
She gives you enough information to try some things out. She doesn't cram it down your throat, just kind of feels it out, lets you do your thing, coaches you. And, I thought it was good. I got frustrated a couple times, not going to lie.
You did.
I mean, I didn't really I don't think I ever got mad at you or at anyone.
No,
but I was just
you never got mad.
I was just kind of oh, man,
Yeah.
fell on my ass a couple times.
It can be frustrating.
Times too many.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I made it down. By the end, I was making it down and actually steering. And
so how's it? Because I've never been snowboarding. Is it the ski lift? Does it just take you up to where you're going and then you just make your way down type of thing?
Yeah, and I think that was something Willie hadn't really conceptualized when we got there. Because I remember you saying we're going down the mountain, and it's that's how you get down. You gotta. So the ski lift takes you to the top, and then you follow the trails down.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen any bad wipeouts? On snowboard.
Yeah, you see a lot of bad wipeouts. Actually, that's one of the fun things to do when you're on the ski lift is to watch other people going down. Yeah. Because there are runs right where the ski lift is at. So some people, you might see them killing it that day, and you're like, wow, that person's fast. Or look at that snowboarder going on the moguls. That's really hard to do, but he just killed it. Or you see some people struggle, wipe out. And
I will say, though, taking the ski lifts up, and I've only done this one time, but to my experience, it's really fun. She had a shooter. She's like, this is the thing, you take a shooter on the ski lift. You take a shooter, we actually took an enclosed
gondola
up to a certain point, and that was more enclosed. You take your time. We were drinking beer on it.
Okay.
And then we get off, and then you're at the lodge, and then you get on the actual lift, and we're taking shooters and stuff. And I mean, that was fun. And up there at that lodge, you have to have one foot strapped into your snowboard, so you're using your other leg to get you to where you need to go, and you have to let the ski lift scoop you up, and then you have to get off of the ski lift, and that's a challenge. That is not an easy thing to do, especially on a snowboard. And she knows, I don't think I successfully got off without either falling over or having to use my hands. I basically, every time I got off the lift, I just kind of fell on my butt.
Dude, that would be so demoralizing. If you can't even make it to the, and that's good. That would be me.
But,
I'm not even giving you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad though. Because you just kind of get off, and then you have to sit down anyways to strap your foot in. So it's I just kind of, just brute force, just trying to get my way to where I needed to be, and then strap up.
I don't think Willie.
And you go.
I think you fell most times that we got off the lift, but you never had fallen bad enough to where they had to stop the lift. And that there is the difference. If you can get off the ski lift and they don't even have to stop,
Yeah.
you know, the lift so that you can get out of the way, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's really not that bad. It's when you fall and you cause a scene that people are like, this guy, like, he's just ruining it for everybody.
We saw one lady. Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like,
she struggled.
Most of the lift people are super nice, but he was like,
but like
upset with this lady.
I know, but it's like there's a difference between when you mess up, you got to own up to it. You got to be ready to do your best. You got to be ready.
Get out
but
of the
like
way,
this lady was like awkwardly laughing and then blaming the people around her for what you know, and it's
come
like
on.
okay, and you know you like but it was a good day. I had a lot of fun. I'm definitely excited to continue to learn more. And my boss actually told me today, because we were talking about snowboarding, she said that her daughter who lives out there, she recommends looking on Facebook Marketplace and just buying your own board as soon as possible because it's a lot cheaper than renting. So, and I don't know if you've thought about that or not.
I have a lot of skiing friends. I don't really have a lot of snowboarding friends. And so being the only snowboarder, usually people are always waiting on me, because as snowboarders, you have to get off the lift, get to the run that you're going to go to, then strap up. And I'm kind of lame, and I sit down when I strap up because it's just easier. And maybe someday I'll be cool and I'll just do it when I'm standing up, but I sit down, and so they're always waiting on me. But Burton has a line, and maybe other brands do too, but they're definitely ones that I've noticed that you just step on. So you don't have straps. It's way faster to get going on your run. So when I do buy my own things, I'll definitely probably buy a board on Facebook Marketplace, but I'll be getting boots fitted to my foot, which is something that they definitely recommend.
Okay.
So, and because I want specialty bindings, I'll probably, if I can find bindings that fit, I could buy it on Facebook Marketplace, but getting some new boots for sure.
Nice. So what's the best thing that Denver has to offer, or at least your top 3 favorite things that you've seen in the city so far?
I love Denver sports. I've made a point to go to as many sporting events as I can. So Willie took me to a Broncos game, which was pretty sick. That was my first NFL game.
Really?
Against the Colts.
Against the Colts.
It was, we were playing the Colts.
And we won. The Colts won that
Colts
game.
won.
Colts did win that game.
It was like, it was, honestly though, I feel bad that was our first NFL game because there were 0 touchdowns. It was 9-6. It was all field goals. And I was like, man, it was a pretty slow game, but it ended up being exciting there at the end. So
I didn't know any different. I was like, this is awesome.
So have you been to a Rockies game?
I haven't. We have tickets.
Yeah.
He's coming to visit me Memorial Day.
Okay.
Through my birthday, and we have Rockies tickets.
Sick. Yeah.
So that'll be my first baseball. I went to a game in Nashville, but so we're gonna do that. I've seen the Avs hockey games and Nuggets basketball.
For Rockies, we're going cheap tickets.
Up on the party deck?
Going to the party deck.
We're going to the party deck.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Oh, yeah. I heard good things about it.
Yeah. Willie and I made our 20-year-old selves up there.
Yeah.
We're hanging out with the big dogs.
Same day we did that, we had skydived, earlier that day, which is also something that Madison Woo has done. You have jumped out of a plane.
I have.
Where was this?
I went to Chicagoland skydiving. So my friend turned 18, and for her 18th birthday, she wanted to go skydiving and asked who would want to go with. And so me.
Of course, you said.
I was like, yeah,
definitely.
I tried to get my mom to go, and she wouldn't do it. She wanted no part of it. I don't know if she really wanted me to go, but she let me, signed off on it. I don't know if she needed to sign off on it, but so me, 3 friends, and 2 of the moms, they all came, and we jumped out of some plane.
Wow. The moms did it too?
Moms did it too. 2 of the moms did it, and they were talking it up with the instructors, and they were probably the coolest moms of the group that day. Just
That's cool.
yeah, they were awesome.
What was your experience like with that? Like, were you obviously you wanted to do it, but was it something that like when you got there you were like, oh shit, I don't know if I can do this, like type of thing, or was it like you were just excited the entire way up? Were you anxious when you got on the plane? Like, talk about the process of that, because I know him and I did it. We can kind of see how we all felt, but.
We did one that I think went to like 14,000 or 16,000 feet, and it gave you like a minute of free fall, something like that, and then the rest of it you parachute down. And those numbers I could be wrong, but something like that. And so I definitely was nervous. I was anxious, but I was like, this either goes one of two ways. Either I live or I don't. So
Yeah.
like this place has 100% success rate. No incidents. I'm probably going to be fine. And if not, like.
They say that, but it's like, are you sure? Like, they can just. Did they? Yeah.
But the thing is, when we watched the training video, that I actually realized, oh, wow. Like, yeah, we could totally die. We're jumping out of a plane and trusting equipment that is being packed by a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah. I did not see that.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have been a lot more anxious if I saw that process like you guys did.
Yeah, it was not fun seeing 2 16-year-old kids just pack your chute.
Yeah,
but
we showed up to the hangar
because y'all
getting
went
ready
in
to
Colorado,
go, and we see these 2 kids packing the bags, and just sitting over there on their phones, just packing. I'm like, do we trust them?
I wanted to go up to them and be like, listen, man, I know this is probably, you do this 50 times a day, but like, my life is on the line here. Like, I know you're a 16-year-old kid, but like, I don't know. I'm surprised that they allowed them to just do that in front of us, to be honest. But yeah. Continue what you were saying. Sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're right though. That would definitely freak me out. 16-year-old packing it. I wonder if that means that there's more margin for error than you realize when you're packing a chute.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't really know what. And
for me, it was like, okay, the instructor, we had my instructor was he was like a military guy. And he was I don't know if he was in a Marine or Navy SEAL, like in the Air Force, but he was like really like, seemed like he knew what he was doing, like a trustworthy guy. And then Willie's guy had this like really like obscure mustache. It was like one of those like handlebar mustaches and had like curls on the end, and it was like a really oddball dude. And it was like kind of the exact opposite of what I think Willie was hoping for.
Making jokes the whole time.
Yeah, and he was, and it was just funny.
Like on the plane being like, how do you pull a chute again? He's like, it's this one, right? He's like, trying to laugh at his joke, and we're like, okay, no, not funny. I'm about to jump I don't know what you're trying to, if you're trying to make me laugh right now, it's not working. Like, that's not, I don't find that funny.
How awesome that would be to be that instructor though, and just mess with people.
Yeah. And they were telling us, they were like, be careful. Like after this gets done, like you talk about adrenaline junkies and stuff and people that do that for a living, and they did it one time. That's all it took. And after we did that, I was like, man, I could do that again. I think I could 100%. That would be like, if that was your life, like you got to do that every day, that would be a pretty sick job, I think. But
I wouldn't do it that many times. I would maybe do it again, considering the circumstances, but I'd be okay if I never did it again, I think.
Would you ever do it not tandem? You do it solo?
I would. Yes, I think I would. I would. That would be like I'm not saying that's a big goal of mine, but like if it ever came down to, there was like a time where that was something that I really wanted to do, was like, okay, this is a life goal. I want to be able to just do it by myself. But I think you have to go through like so much training, right? Like you have to have so many hours.
Oh yeah.
Obviously. Sure. But that would be pretty cool to just be able to, like, I skydive by myself, or I can show up whenever I want and skydive. But no, doing it in Colorado too was pretty fun, man. That was a really, really, I would say, a life-changing experience. I don't know if you can attest to that, but
yeah, if I were gonna do it again, I would do it how y'all did it and pick a place that with some scenery. So we did it near I was rural outside of Chicago area, and when you're floating with your shoe, like it's just cornfields.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, which is, but if there were mountains or something, or I went paragliding in Switzerland when I studied abroad.
Oh, wow.
And that was a really cool experience. And when you were gliding through the air, you're just like surrounded by mountains, and it's just the coolest.
That's cool. And honestly, to do that in another country would be pretty scary.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because you really don't have the strongest communication with them because the language barrier or whatever might be something that you would deal with, and just trusting and Well, Maddie Woo, I got one last question for you.
Sure.
What kind of thing motivates you? What wakes you up in the morning? What makes you do the things that you do? Because I mentioned when we started this that you're a guest on here because you're inspiring, and we want to hear what your motivation is like and what inspires you to keep going.
That's a good question. I think that I am motivated just by living life to the fullest, which sounds really cheesy, but I really do. I think that I'm just really about new experiences and making the most of your day. I don't really like to sit still a lot of the time. Like, even if I'm just at home for the day, it's like, okay, what part of the city have I not really explored yet? Like, maybe I can go check it out. So I think I'm just fueled by new experiences. In my career as an occupational therapist, I think I'm just motivated by helping people live their life to the fullest. That's exactly what occupational therapy is how can you take someone who's in maybe their lowest part of life, can't do things independently, and help them get just a little bit closer to doing that for themselves. So it's something that I live in my life. It's also something that I would choose to help other people do with theirs because,
Very inspiring.
Sure.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
It's not every day that you can do, you can have the same passion that drives what you do and your life, and just kind of bundle it up all into one.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Maddie Woo.
Sure.
For coming on.
Thanks for letting me come on and talk to you.
It was really fun talking to you.
Yeah.
Getting to know you better. And I hope, congratulations on your doctorate.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Very nervous, but excited.
Yeah. It's cool stuff.
Yes. Congratulations, Maddie. Thanks for being on. We really appreciate you.
Of course.